literal.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 14th, 2026 meeting of the Newcastle Town Board. I'd like to ask for a motion to convene our work session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are hereby at our Town Board meeting work session. I'd like to start by welcoming our Sustainability Advisory Board for a joint meeting today. Our chair, the SAB chair, Jennifer Mavis Flagg, unfortunately wanted to be here today but was unable to, so we welcome the members. And I'll start by having us introduce ourselves and then ask you to introduce yourselves, and then thank you for the presentation that you sent us, and then we'll get going. I'm Vicki Tip, your town supervisor.
Jen Klein, Town Board.
Holly McCall, Town Board and your liaison.
Eric Marmon, Town Board.
Allie Shumtop, Town Board.
Kathy Schreiber, board member, SAB.
Mike Corso, board member SAB. I live on Revort Road off 120 near Grafton.
Alicia Malloy, SAB member. Maxine Walker Rubin, board member, 15 years.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Yes.
It's a pleasure.
I'm Parvati Gopakrishna. I'm a junior at Greeley and one of the co-presidents of the Greeley Sustainability Club.
Okay, so welcome, thank you for coming here to meet with us, and we look forward to hearing about your goals and plans and any suggestions that you have for us moving forward.
So I told Jennifer I went to do her little bit,
Okay.
so I'll try. I'm not gonna be as eloquent as
No,
she
it's
is.
fine, we're we can be informal here,
So basically I did the introduction of our team. We also have a couple others who aren't here, so just wanted to give them Vivek Agassia, Rick Stein, Bailey Card, Kate Haskowitz, and then we have a couple other volunteers like Peter Jamrose who's been coming to our lot, and he's really focused on food scrap composting, so we'll get to that later on. So we'll go through the mission and responsibilities, things we've done recently, just to give you kind of a up to date of what we've done last year, and then what we're hoping to accomplish in the next, what we're working on currently. So the SAB mission and responsibilities. So we help to identify opportunities for reducing greenhouse gas emissions and assist with implementation. We've done this, we did a greenhouse gas inventory recently. And when other opportunities pop up, we will be there to help advise, promote the use of renewable energy. It's been a little while now, but we've had the really successful Solar Ice campaign that got a lot of rooftop solar on roofs in Newcastle. We advise the town board on solid waste collection, disposal, reduction, and on recycling best practices. This is probably a big part of what we do right now, is educating residents on green initiatives and sustainable options in the community. We've also been doing a lot with supporting youth engagement and advocacy, including advising projects for Girl Scout Gold Awards and the Boy Scouts Eagle Award. Our members are also just involved in other areas in town, working with the school district on bringing the electric school buses to the district. So we just basically have a really good idea of the pulse of the sustainability issues in the town.
Before we move to the next page, can I ask a question on this page, or do you
Yes, no,
prefer
please.
that we wait? I'm curious about your greenhouse gas inventory project. I know that the board adopted greenhouse gas inventory results a couple of years ago, and it was an inventory that was done years before that adoption. So I'm wondering, is this an inventory 2.0, or is it connected to the previous one?
So this one, when did I'm trying to get the years.
Wasn't it also part of the climate action steps?
Well,
So
that-
it would have been
yeah.
incorporated in there.
Well, the one that was done more recently, a climate action plan is supposed to be, actually, we should take it out occasionally and relook at it, update our goals, update our progress. So actually that's probably something we should add into
Yeah, I'm just curious if this is a new inventory.
No, this
because-
this is the one a couple of years ago that
Okay,
done.
okay.
But it
Do you
should,
think it would be
update.
good to do another one? I don't know
I don't
how to best decide that yet,
a
I'm just
climate
putting it out there.
a greenhouse gas inventory is done every 5 to 10 years, but I think it is probably time to update our climate action plan. That's old now, so that is probably the next
Okay.
step of
If I remember the inventory correctly, there were big changes because of the light bulbs. Am I making that up? That we had just done a huge change with
yeah.
public lighting, and so we saw a direct result, a direct
And-
positive.
The other interesting thing that's gonna happen is that after Indian Point closed down, our emissions did go up, just because of where we have to draw our electricity from, so it will be worth relooking at to see how we can, where we're using it, where we
Right,
can
there were a
reduce.
number of points where we reduced,
Mhm.
you know, and this is town facilities for anyone who's listening, it's not greenhouse gas emissions for the whole town, these are only town
government
town-owned,
operations, yeah.
facilities. So, okay, well, you'll let us know if
Yeah.
this is something that we can
Make
do
it
again.
once and bring it back up to the whole group. Okay, so some recent projects that we have, again, like I mentioned at the beginning, our large focus is education. So we have Valerie and Maxine wanna talk about the Newcastle Going Green podcast.
Yeah, Newcastle Going Green is a podcast that's 5 years old. We had thousands of downloads, basically to educate not only Newcastle, but it goes beyond because it's on Spotify and Apple and Amazon. It's on all the major things, and people from other towns can hear it. I believe we're the only town that is doing this or has done it, which is pretty cool, I think. And so the mission is to educate and to inform. And we work with students from Greeley High School. Parvati is one. And we've had a lot of wonderful guests over the years, including, read some of them off, Senator Harcum. We had Sabrina recently on. We had Leah Wegman, Ben Kriegler, Liz Silverstein. We had Josh Cullen-Block from the school on the show. Vivek was on. We had Jill Shapiro on. We had the water treatment plant folks. We had, people from Recycle Center on. And we're trying to give people an idea. People don't, a lot of people don't know where this Recycle Center is, which is why I was finally able to get a little sign up to point to where it is. Over the years, we're trying to get the tree signs up too. But anyway, back to the podcast. It's a way of just getting an extra way to the public, extra information to the public. And I think we've been pretty successful, and we want to continue getting good guests. Alicia was very involved for a long time, and we were getting a guest that would come on and then have like a resident come on in some situations. Like if we had someone who had solar in their house, we would have the company that put up the solar, and we'd have the person who has solar to give us an idea, geothermal. We need to get renewable energies going. And that's solar, that's, I don't know about wind, but solar and geothermal are big. On my block, I have 4 residents who are pretty new residents over the last few years, and they've put up solar and geothermal, which is great. So again, it's educating the public that there's actions they can take and what we can do as individuals to make this place a cleaner, greener place for current and future generations. Which is why I will hand it over to Parvati to just talk about she's really what she's done and what her position is at school. It's pretty cool. And Earth Day is coming up soon, so everybody,
Yeah, I'm gonna announce that.
Okay, so I just wanted to
It's
get
gonna be
that
a big
out there.
day.
It's gonna be, and we just recorded a podcast today with the teacher. You'll explain it. Go to it. Okay.
Yeah, I am one of the co-presidents of the Greeley Sustainability Club. Club. We do a lot about raising awareness on school issues and what students can do to like take action. And Newcastle Going Green is one of the best ways. Me and Kate and Bailey, we run it. We ask questions to our guests that we reach out to. We coordinate with them. Today we hosted Mr. May, which is one of the AP US history teachers, but he's very involved in the greenhouse and sustainability overall. So we interviewed him, we asked him about sustainability in schools, and it was overall a great episode. He's a great person.
Yeah, he was terrific. Yeah, you know, and through the interview, you know, I brought up that New York schools now, New York State, they passed, like New Jersey has, that K through 12 has to have environmental curriculum. And I don't know what start point is, but a lot of people work really hard doing that. And I think it's important that people understand that this is now going to be part of the curriculum of the school to get more kids. And you know, Parvati is great. She works with the sustainability. She's the co-president, and she works with Mr. Ray, and he's a pretty incredible guy, very passionate. So it was just wonderful to have him on again. His perspective as a teacher, their perspective as students, and get the word out to people. So we'll probably be up in the next week or so, but it goes up once a month, and it's been great to work on it. I mean, I do other podcasts aside from it, so I figured let's do one here.
I think it's wonderful
You know,
that you're
so-
on all these
so-
platforms.
So we're trying to get that, and it's part of education, and I mean, they'll talk about education also.
But yeah, the podcast could be found, it's on the town's website under this SAB part, and we always publicize it in the e-newsletter.
It's
Yeah, I've seen it,
very-
it's really good. I just didn't realize that it was so widely disseminated, so that's really good news.
Yeah, it's again, you know, we did it initially for the citizens of Newcastle to know what's going on and give them an idea of what we do, but also give them an idea of you know, how people interact and can interact and make things better. And so the fact that it goes out everywhere, it could be heard up in Artemis too, you know. But I'm a space freak, sorry.
Well, I heard that was on their playlist.
You know, I think so. I'm gonna send it to Christina Cook, you know, I'm gonna tell her, listen up, baby. But the whole idea is, you know, working with the Greeley students is fantastic, and the members of the SAB to get this out. And it's, you know, we just wanna keep it going, you know, and that's about it.
It's very well done, and I am impressed, honestly, that you guys keep coming up with such interesting topics.
Well, there's so much to be covered,
Yeah.
and there's so, you know, getting people to take action on anything, you know, isn't easy.
And if there's ever any topics that you feel might be interesting to the residents, please send them our way and we'd be interested in.
Or anyone who wants to come on from town,
Yeah.
you know, we've had people from town on.
We just had
I've not been.
I'm looking.
Well,
Just
follow
in
it.
terms of time.
It was
it's-
very good. It
I'm
was
done.
quite
I'm
good.
done. I
Yeah.
said that was it, you were the one.
Yes.
Okay,
Can you track listenership?
Yeah,
Like
they
the
give
numbers
us,
and where they're from?
Well,
Like,
I don't know
do,
where- I
they
don't-
do give us an example of, or they said there was some
That's
European
two-
downloads,
This-
which
this-
was weird, but most of them are in
Right.
town.
Yeah.
And
But-
we do get the numbers.
You know, the last number was 2,500, so that was pretty good.
Is that subscribers or?
Downloads.
No, it's just
Download.
downloads. Well, you know, some we can get, some we can't. But the fact that it's, you know, I can say thousands have listened, is pretty cool.
Cause I think there's probably people who are listening who didn't even download it, so.
Yeah, cause I don't think mine downloads
Yeah.
anymore.
Right,
I think
so a
it
lot
just
of people-
streams directly.
Right, extreme, you'll be listening, but you're not hitting the button,
Yeah.
so, but that's, so it's pretty good, and I'm just glad it's working through. Okay,
Great. We have a sustainability spotlight, formerly tip of the week in a weekly post of the e-news.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, we're all very grateful that the town has given us a platform in the e-newsletter, and Carrie is amazing for, you know, my last minute, like, throwing in the content, and the weekly post, we try to do at least a couple times a month, and we're also gearing up to maybe just do some new content almost every week that there is an e-newsletter. And then we'll share the same content on social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram program. And I didn't know we had a recycling center. That's the best one, right? We didn't have a recycling center or a food scrap. Try to continuously promote especially things that would reduce waste in town and partner with Michael, the recycling center. They're also just a recycling center. It looks so amazing.
bad
right
The
idea.
now.
signs
Good
are
idea.
beautiful.
Yeah, the signs, yeah.
We
That would be
have,
a good way to let the parents know.
yeah, principal, but.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the last one I did, but an SAB member
Candace
usually
done
will
one.
join Michael and we'll do like little games, like where does this go? So sometimes the
The water
schools want to.
treatment plant is a good place to have schools go to.
They
We
do.
did, they
on the
did
town
that.
board. I
Yeah.
love that tour.
Yeah.
It's cool though, it's fun.
It
But
is.
they do, the elementary school, we've had elementary schools and we've also, I'd hosted a scout troop there once.
And there
I think
was
the Girl
actually
Scouts, yeah.
just a mom who was interested in having her kids learn, so she organized just a group of other parents to bring their kids down too, so there have been.
And Michael alerts us, he emails us and says, can I have an SAB member to help
And
with
we
with
usually
Awesome.
there,
That's
yeah,
great.
so it's really great. So like I said, one of the things that an SAB member brought to us was, maybe you can still print things out and put them at the library and the senior center and the community center. And so we've looked into that kind of outreach, I guess is the best word. So we're still trying to figure out the way to get the message out there and utilizing different methods. Old school and new school.
Sounds good.
The SAB, the town also allows us to put an insert in the annual refuse and recycling calendar. And sometimes we have two sides, sometimes one side, but we always promote like the recycling related topics and waste reduction topics. And that is in the mailer that is mailed in December. And then we'll also promote an article about it during the year. Did you have it? Did you find it? It's in your mailbox or you can find it online.
Good use of the mailer.
Yeah, it's a great use of mailer. Thank you, and we appreciate that opportunity. And then, am I talking about the electric car show too?
I'm doing the EV car show. So this year, EV car show is still to be determined, so I'm just gonna talk a little bit about last year, but last year we held our 4th annual EV car show in June. And we had 15 vehicles on display with their owners. Residents can go through and ask questions, really find out kind of a diversity of EVs too, cause we're like, well, I don't want one that looks funny, but there's a lot that, cause they used to look just really futuristic and people just want a sedan, but we had a really nice diversity of cars out there last year. But it's nice when people can talk to their owners and say, hey, have you experienced this range anxiety, or where do you charge? But we've been able, along with information about the cars, we provide information about incentives, state and federal, where they can charge. And we also have some activities for kids to get them involved and thinking about.
It's also good to talk to people who don't have an interest in selling you
Correct.
a
Correct.
vehicle.
It's not a sales
Yeah.
plug.
It's very popular.
So that's, we
The scavenger hunt's always a big hit too.
yeah. So we'll hopefully have something on the plans for this year, but that's still.
And many of us drive EVs,
Yeah.
so they're pretty fun.
Yeah, mine was one of those 15 cards, so I was happy.
Thank you.
If you- if,
Mine was supposed to be there, but my son got sick.
And then we also sponsored a home energy DIY workshop with the partner with Chapco Library and Cafe. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we were trying to find ways where we could, again, engage the community on reducing, everybody's been concerned about the high electric bills, high heating, cost of heating, and we sort of forget there are some simple things that you can do to help reduce your energy bill, and if everybody in town would just implement a few things, that just really has a widespread impact. And so Sustainable Westchester came and they gave a presentation. The library was wonderful with hosting it, and they gave us some tips, and there's a PowerPoint that we were able to put on the town website that we can continuously send the community members to for referencing. And it just gives you a whole list of, I didn't even realize this, you can put in this foam insert into your outlets because a lot of the air escapes the outlets. I didn't know that. Just putting up doorstops or that window cling in the winter can really reduce energy, and of course, if that not only reduce our costs, but it reduces our reliance on the fossil fuels.
And I feel like those are the types of programs that we should do more of because it was really informative and really accessible to the residents. So.
Podcast episode,
I just wrote that
winterizing your
down.
house.
Yeah.
Is that been a podcast?
Yeah.
And we also had an opportunity to promote the library, Library of Things. The Chappaqua Library has things that community members can borrow. They have to be a Chappaqua Library card holder, but you can borrow a water meter that will look for damp spaces, or an energy meter, and they have like a hiking kit. There's just a whole bunch of things that people don't realize, and they can try something without buying. That's cool. Which is nice. And maybe they only need it for a weekend, and then it's a great thing, and it's been very popular. And the other thing that we had done in the past, and Alicia, all of us in this table had done a lot, was we had movies where we would partner with the town, the library, or some of the other organizations. And we were talking about we'd like to try to bring back the movies.
We had a lot of documentaries,
Yeah.
and we even had a documentary, and we had a chef come on, because it was about food waste.
Wasted,
It was
yeah,
at
wasted.
Yeah, we'd be happy to
It was
sponsor that
it
with
was
you.
really it was really cool, and we were able to get people to go up and taste stuff. But it was an Anthony Bourdain film.
Sounds fantastic.
And so there's a lot of good documentaries out there. We gotta get people in the seats to want to see them.
Okay.
But we've done them in the library and CPAC, so hopefully we can do that again.
And whenever we can, we usually do the tabling at Earth Day, Community Day. We have a couple of conversations about being at the farmer's market this year. We always get our food scrap composting bins and what other information's
I think there's Earth Day this year it's at Gedney,
on April
Yes.
and
20th,
it's,
April
we'll be there,
26th.
it's the Conservation Board, I
A lot of
think
good
Victoria's,
activities, so
yeah.
encourage everyone to come out with their kids.
Are you doing your Rolex reading again?
See,
think so.
It's so popular, we haven't started to do it, reading the
It'll
law.
become a thing.
It's a thing, it is a thing already.
So going on to the slide called recent projects, so in 2024 and 2025, the SAB and the Climate Smart Communities Task Force were instrumental in the town obtaining approximately $600,000 in NYSERDA grants through its projects and actions, and the grants were used for solar on Chapac, EV chargers, heat pumps, electric landscaping equipment, and electric vehicles. So we're really proud of.
Thank you very much for that.
We're really proud of that really does a big impact on reducing our greenhouse gas emissions in town, so. Okay, moving on to current initiatives and kind of what we're working on now and hoping to do more of. Mike is gonna talk a little bit about the BESS, the battery energy storage systems.
So thanks for hosting those hearings. I think everyone's learning a lot about BESS and about community solar. So my role, because I'm a member of the Clean Energy Action Coalition of the Business Council of Westchester, and I also work pretty closely with Leo at Sustainable Westchester. I run a nonprofit called the Local Solar Energy Foundation. So it's an educational site to educate primarily commercial building owners about the benefits of going solar. So working within these organizations, I feel like my role is to bring all of the learnings, and today was a great example because we had the annual Clean Energy Action Coalition Conference at the Windrose Conference Center in Croton, and that was until 2 o'clock, and then we went over to the Croton train station and had a really great show and tell on not only their solar canopies there, but their BESS projects, their BESS project as well. And one of the things I learned and that I bring to the board and things we'll be talking about in the future is Croton is collecting $480,000 a year in revenue from the community solar panels that they have there and the battery system. So we're gonna learn from Croton. We're gonna reach out and talk to White Plains. We're gonna talk to people at the IBM Watson Center where all of these community solar projects exist. We're gonna talk to office buildings throughout the county that have solar and are using it in a community solar capacity as well. And just to be clear, community solar is something where you put up panels and then you have off-takers or homeowners or businesses who are subscribing to that power at a discounted rate. Now often the tenant will take, say, 40% of that usage for themselves, and then they're basically the developer is paying them a lease, so they're making money that way.
Can I ask where those are generally installed?
Generally between rooftops and carports. So in Croton, I really recommend taking a ride. If you haven't been to the Croton train station recently, I don't know how many football fields long it is, but it had to be at least a quarter of a mile where they have these panels that are providing basically 3/4 of the energy that's generating that revenue to the town. The other, let's say, quarter, actually maybe a third, is coming from the batteries themselves. So the stored energy is in the batteries, and then they're basically it's being the homes, I don't know if it's 200 or 300 homes that subscribe to that energy. They're all getting a discounted rate, but the developer, and that's where we're gonna benefit, the developer is paying the town or the train station operators a lease payment, and that's where that $480,000 is coming from. So to cut it short, that my role, I feel, is to just stay on top of this very rapidly changing landscape of green energy and technology, and to just bring facts, we heard in the hearings recently, and I don't blame people, but they've heard things in the past and it's stuck in their heads, and they're going to talk the language of fear, which is understandable, but it's not productive, because the future is solar and battery storage, to get away from the crippling effects of utility rates increasing every year.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's rapidly changing.
Rapidly changing.
And so that is the challenge for
Right.
us in putting, like a pin on something
Yeah.
that where the goalposts do
Yeah.
keep changing, so
Yeah, and let's take advantage.
So maybe we can have a further discussion
Yeah,
on this at a later point when
sure.
And I just wanna reiterate that the SAB's opinion is that our suggestion would be to approve the tier 1 for residential. Do not prohibit tier 2 and tier 3 at this time, but keep a moratorium in place so things cannot go ahead, because again, things keep changing, so.
We have this suggestion, we can't keep a moratorium in place permanently. Moratoriums are temporary, and in fact, the county, I'm not sure if it's the state, does not look kindly on moratoriums that go for more than, I think, 2 years. We're on our third 6-month moratorium now.
Okay.
So we will have to come to a conclusion soon. But whatever we do decide, I mean, like I said, like you said, things are progressing so rapidly.
Yeah.
That wherever we end up, I would certainly want us to continue studying.
Yeah.
We don't need
And
to have a
that's-
moratorium to do that. Laws can change, nothing is actually written in stone. So what I do know is that we will continue to study the issue. I don't wanna get too much into
Exactly.
what's the subject of a public hearing
I
next
just wanna
week.
mention one thing. When I was on the Envision tour, when we were thinking of what the town think, and I was with a group of people, and we went to the parking lot. And a lot of people were really pro putting up solar panels over, cars to create energy. And there was more people wanting that than I imagined. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are open to, things of that nature.
Yep.
So I just tossing it out.
Okay. Which when we were talking about current initiatives, Mike just mentioned that again, community solar and really investigating the possibility of putting solar canopies on town parking lots, especially the train station, is one of our biggest hopes and
Oh, yeah, no, it is.
goals.
What do you know?
And and you say you guys are, it's one of your current initiatives, are you guys targeting like making a recommendation or proposal to us at some point?
Sure.
What time frame are you guys thinking?
Within 3 to 6 months, we could have a very complete proposal for you. Again, based on the conversations and meetings that I have with these other towns. And, let's take advantage. We have Sustainable Westchester right in our backyard. They're right down the road, and Leo is great. He's, people like Leo, Ron Kamen, who heads up the Clean Energy Action Coalition, these guys are experts, and they're really, keeping an eye on what's developing and they have answers to a lot of these questions that we're gonna have.
And I know I've mentioned this to you guys in your meetings, but just kind of a reminder is to keep in mind that we're looking for renovating and upgrading town hall itself. So there might be, some considerations to think of when you guys are looking at the community solar and how that interplays.
But I think that's another reason we wanna jump on this now, because I feel it might have even been before Rob Greenstein was the supervisor. But we've talked about the solar canopies for a long time, and it had always been pushed off because, we don't know what we're doing with the parking lot. We might be building on it, or we might do this. And I think we've gotten to the point, or the town has gotten to the point, that they're not going to be building on it. And so there's opportunities. So any of the, whatever the next after vision, I think you were saying, I believe there was something that was coming out again, some more, we hope that there will be some consideration of, don't miss another opportunity to put in the solar canopies and
the chargers that can go along with it to encourage more
Or
EVs.
roof mount if it's town hall,
Yeah.
if you're talking about a
Yeah.
renovation, the time to do anything like that is in the planning stages. You don't wanna add it on afterwards and, cobble together a lot of parts, do it right from the start. It'll be more cost efficient that way
Yeah,
as
we'll
well.
definitely be looking at that.
Yeah.
Another big focus and interest of ours currently is the food scrap recycling. About 15 to 30% of garbage waste in the US, food waste is estimated to be about 15 to 30% of what's sent to the landfill and incinerators. Newcastle, I can't remember how long we've been doing that.
it was
Recycling for-
2017, 2018?
So we've been doing it a while. In 2025, we diverted 52 tons.
Oh, 6 years, it's been 6 years. Cause Michael had
okay,
given us
yeah, that's right,
the
that's right.
metrics and
Yeah. Yep, it's right there. In 2025, we diverted 52 tons. When we first started the program, it was building. It's been basically consistent on how much we've been able to divert the last couple of years. We would like to increase this number because we know it can be increased, and every ton that we divert from the waste actually saves us money because we're not paying the tipping fees, and then it then turns into actually a very valuable product, black gold, the compost.
Do you have any idea how many residents are composting at home and you guys are never able to factor it in here? Like, cause I know you guys promote that as well.
Yeah, I don't know, and some people, myself included, were doing the backyard composting until I started taking it in. It's probably not a bad idea to try to see if we can,
Like do a survey?
to
we've
get
done-
people, because people will self
And it's also
populate.
limited, right? It's just really the food scraps, maybe eggshells, coffee grounds, but when I say food scraps, I mean vegetables and fruit. Like you can't put cheese. You can put chocolate in, you can put chocolate, you can't put bones. Anything that would attract
Like in your backyard.
wildlife and creatures, and also just isn't going to biodegrade that quickly. So, or degrade that quickly. So and I also believe that the town and the recycling center were very supportive of the 24-hour, and I believe it's been
Thank you. for
it's
that.
been something I know Alicia was
Saved my butt a
really
few times.
pushing. And I was, yeah, me too. And I'm usually try to get there during the normal hours, and just all of a sudden, it's been. I think that is also increasing,
Yeah.
or going to have an increase in our use of the program.
But we do wanna we are looking at ways to increase participation, new branding, new, social norms, incentivizing. But we'd also really like to continue to explore, curbside pickup.
Definitely.
Because we think that could really help go from this level to the
Yeah,
next
the
level, so.
curbside pickup would be something to explore for sure.
Try again?
Yeah, so some of the concerns in the past were the insurance requirements that the town insurance broker and our attorneys at the time just had some concerns. And I know that, there are some communities that do it, there are a couple different models. We can look at it again, we are about to go out to bid again with Santa Pro. I think they offer the best, but I think if I recall, they had a minimum number, right?
Would you be able to help us with
Yes.
gathering information for that?
Yes.
That would be very helpful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Alright, we'll look at,
yeah, that would be great.
and we'll
Yeah, I
look
mean, we
on our end
can
as well.
request that they add to the base bid, that be an alternate in the bid and something to consider at that time.
Yeah, I'd like to know what other towns do.
And then another thought was just to even possibly as a pilot program, we have actual town staff when they're going around doing yard waste pickup. Maybe have a pilot area where you do curbside compost pickup and then they can take it to the recycling center. It would be so just there are other ways we can think about this. So that's what we're
Okay.
And you would ask,
brainstorming.
what do other towns do? I think that's what Scarsdale
Yeah.
uses town employees.
And then
I
there
think
are
they have a more
basically
robust
two companies in town that most of the other municipalities in Westchester work with.
Yeah, it would be great if you could send us
Okay.
what you discover and
Absolutely.
we'll add that to what we find out and we'll revisit.
Perfect.
Last but not least, our favorite topic.
Yeah, the topic that
Topic that drives me
Well,
crazy.
we were all waiting.
20
I know.
We need a drum roll for this.
This is
We're
leaf
missing
blowers, the
one.
leaf blower environmental protection law. Kathy's gonna talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, so we've had this law in place since, I wanna say 2020. And we continue to be challenged by the enforcement issue. All through the summer, people, and mostly probably more companies are out there with the gas packs on the back. And the challenge has been that the neighbors, one of the solutions was for the neighbors to try to report. And the reality is, if somebody has a weekly service, they're there at the same time every day. It would be pretty easy to find the offenders, but it just hasn't happened. And Scarsdale came in and presented to the town, said that they enforce. Scarsdale has had something in, I wanna say, since, I think they've had something in place for 30 years. And I know a lot of folks had said, oh, Scarsdale's very different from this area, but a lot of Scarsdale is not. I mean, my husband is from Scarsdale, I went to Scarsdale a lot, I was like, well, I don't know, this neighborhood's very similar to that neighborhood, and yes, certainly, in town is very different from out of town, but just to really encourage people to also limit, the leaf blowers are not great for the employees, they're not great for the homeowners, it's not great for the soil, and, but especially in the summer, where, when I first moved to Chappaqua, people weren't, and which was 1996, there were no leaf blowers out. Now, I was commuting, there wasn't really leaf blowers for all year round. There might have been a little bit of leaf blowers there would have been leaf blowers for the fall cleanup, and I was probably commuting, so I wasn't home a lot of the time. But then it became every day, and you just hear the leaf blowers all day long from across the, from down on the next street, and it's not a value add in most cases. A quick blow on a hardscape, fine, but it's not really healthy for the property, for the grass. It blows off the topsoil, it makes it really hard impact, which also impacts runoff. So we feel that it was also, in a way, a quality of life. People wanted to sit outside and enjoy the beautiful weather, and there have been many times where on maybe the one perfect day that week, I'm on a conference call and all of a sudden I'm said, excuse me, and I'm racing and I'm closing all my windows because gas from a neighboring yard is pouring into my home. And so
Fun fact, 1 hour of a gas leaf blower is the equivalent of driving a car from Denver to LA.
I was gonna ask you for metrics, I had seen that at some point and
There's a lot of
it was
metrics.
really tremendous.
And we've provided metrics over the years, but it's more a matter of the willingness and just the, and how you want to enforce. And people know, we were at, when we had a bunch of students were with me at the recycling center during one of the shredmobiles, and we went to every car in line and they were like, we know. So people know. But
Just have to make sure they're
the
following.
residents know, but I don't know if they're taking the accountability of their employee, their outsourced employee. And I had to, it took me a while too, I had to put up signs just to keep reminding them, because they have other customers, they don't have a database that they come out of their phone and say, oh, Kathy Schreiber doesn't want a leaf gas this week, or whatever. And I tell them no all year round. And
I told them I cannot have a town supervisor, and if they bring one gas leaf blower
bad luck.
on my property, I'll have to let them go, and they never have.
yeah, it's a
Since
bad
then.
look, right? Yeah,
They
thank
never
you,
have.
thank you.
So that's proof that if you really mean it, they
Yeah.
will do it.
And there are landscaping companies that have switched over to electric if they are going to, like, I know our
Not on Ludlow Drive, people.
Well, and now, now
my
it's
street.
been
Oh.
years later, so it's not like this is
Not
new
my
where
block.
people haven't had time to sort of,
Yeah.
incorporate more electric equipment and I do see electric equipment in the ones that are used on my property, they do now have them with them. But so I understood, years ago, they weren't quite ready to do the capital expenditure, but in 5-6 years, they would have had to have replaced some equipment. And
So what you're saying, 1 hour of a gas leaf blower is like driving from Denver to where?
LA.
To LA.
To LA,
Mhm.
really?
I think that's in our presentation that we originally gave to
There's
the
a lot
town
of
board at the
metrics on it.
time. I mean, a lot of metrics. Also, the health impacts to our children. Everybody's concerned about the health impacts to our children, but the asthma, the particulates, it is not great. And what the employee, the user of the machine, if they're doing that in multiple yards all day, it's very bad for their health.
But also they have people put down chemicals on their lawn, and I see the yellow signs, don't and I get things in the mail for 24 hours, close your doors, windows, keep the kids in. And then they blow the next day. So what do you think that's gonna do?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is just, in general, it's a tough situation.
And it's a reframing of how, it's one of the, it's like a marketing thing where we have the leaf blowers. It's a reframing of like what we did 50 years ago where lawns were kind of healthier without all the extra stuff. So, but it is an educational, but it's also an enforcement with regards to the leaf blower. So one of the recommendations that we put forth was a code enforcement officer or building inspector assist with enforcement, but also just do enforcement. And then I believe we had done door hangers, right? I also feel like if there is an alert where a door hanger's left, because sometimes people really, they're not home all day. If they have somebody come into their lawn, they don't realize it. And this will be, if they have the door hangers that are left by the police or building, then they would know. But it is the law.
What's Scarsdale doing differently?
So Scarsdale has had this law, I wanna say since the 80s, no joke. And they believe Scarsdale, and I don't have it, and I should update that. I believe Scarsdale have they gone all year round with no gas? But they
So
were
the-
charging, I think, they were
No.
charging
So
$200,
it's
I
just been,
think.
it's been 30 plus years of, were they doing, I mean, if we look back 20 years ago, 30 years, were they sending police police officers to
Yes.
write citations
Yes.
for
And once,
to landscapers and to the homeowners.
and I think there are some landscapers who genuinely try to go electric, but when they see their competitors not using electric and not getting fined for it,
Yeah,
then they're
that's-
going back to gas.
Yeah, why
I've
bother?
spoken to at
So-
least 3 landscapers on my block, cause I walk my dog, get blown every time. And I tell the guys, you can't be doing this.
Yeah,
But
we'll hand,
fine-
we used to
but
hand
One guy
out
almost punched me out.
brochures and
I
then
almost
they'd
called the
say,
police.
okay.
But
And I was nice, I was quiet, I'm like, you can't
But
do
you don't
this.
wanna have to
You
be
don't wanna
punitive, right? You don't wanna have to be punitive, you want them to understand that this is what you're supposed to be
yeah,
doing.
this is the law in Newcastle, so.
And we're not asking it fall. We have not approached it for the fall, it's for this time of year where blowing the grass takes time. And people would say, well, it's gonna cost more money. I said, when I told them to stop blowing, they're in and out of my acre property in 6 minutes.
Well, and just,
So that's
'cause
fast.
this conversation can and has gone on
Yeah,
for all night for us, but just one final, the county is looking into full ban, so it could become a county issue. I mean, Newcastle can be a leader in it,
So can the
but
state.
but the county is looking into leaf blower bans.
The state is
And the source
also,
for that stat is the Carbon Almanac, if you care,
Oh, okay.
which is a great book.
Yeah,
I
I'll
read
write
it.
that
And
down.
since Newcastle
California.
implemented the law, Irvington, Green, I mean, all of these are
Bedford,
surrounding
Tacoma,
towns,
all of them
very
have-
few towns are no longer, are not, have no law. Pleasantville.
And are they going through the same issues?
The enforcement issue.
I don't know, probably.
I would think,
I don't,
Because then if we look at a countywide, like if there's a countywide solution, we're gonna run the same
Well,
challenge.
let me
No, if
contact
there's a
some
county
of the
law
other
involved,
towns
then
and see how they're doing and
The companies will
we will
probably be
revisit
more
this,
willing
obviously,
to
we're not gonna solve this problem
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
but
and
we
I
hear
joke 'cause
you,
we-
hear you.
this,
Yeah.
it's always like the little blip at the end of our meetings
California.
that ends up making the meeting go for another half an hour, so
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let it happen anymore.
just an example,
I think
California has put in a law into place that you cannot buy, gas powered
Sure.
anymore. Zero.
We're always
That
ahead
it's
of the
not,
curve, yeah,
well,
okay.
LA baby,
So, yeah, we've got a lot
I
of,
drove there from Denver the other day.
we have a
Right,
lot of
exactly.
fun things going and we
Use the gas leak.
appreciate your
Turns out most
partnership.
of that's the
Thank you
traffic
so
in
much.
LA.
There you go.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you for taking the time to speak,
Thank you.
very useful,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much, thank you for all the work you're doing.
And then if
Appreciate
there's
And,
ever,
and we'll talk again.
and how it's always been, if there's ever
Yeah.
things come from the residents that need to come to us, we're always happy to address.
Thank you.
And we like
Thank
to
you so much.
You guys are a very productive community.
I get her one more year.
Thank you so much.
Not it easy.
For people in the
Appreciate
audience
it.
waiting,
Good
we
night.
have one more topic for our work session and then we'll get going with the general
We have the
meeting.
parking lot.
Yeah, one more topic,
Oh,
so
are
I
we
think,
staying here or
no,
are we
I
gonna
don't think so, well, let's see, Rob, should we stay at this table for the?
No, I think we should probably
Well,
set,
we'll,
yeah.
oh,
Should we,
yeah, we'll go back to
Should
our
we take a break,
regular
or?
topic.
Bye.
Thank you for
Oh, I put Bob Roscoe. And I saw her and Laura in the lab. Should I bring them to the meeting? I'm like, bring them to the meeting.
Standing guys.
Yeah, can we get a
I don't walk.
So the extra, I never made it to the Oh, wow. Oh, no problem. Yes. Alicia's daughter. Yep. Yep, you got it.
Only me?
She
signing up.
delivered some.
Okay. Jen's a lot of responsibility.
I don't know. I need to buy some, and she's like, "Here's." I think you could.
You just sit in class and practice your signature? Was I the only one who did that?
Yes,
No, I'm not the only one who did
No,
that.
I did it.
Yeah.
I actually make
I
my
also
kids do it.
use
They're
the
like
tablet.
live. Everything's digital. I'm like,
Yeah, why am I
you
doing
need to know how to
scribbles?
sign your name
Well, next to me.
in cursive. Yes, in cursive. But
and the landscaping thereof. It's been a hot topic of discussion in person and on social media. So we have talked about this for a long time, and I will just preface by saying that we do have plans for the town hall. We hired a company to do a needs assessment. So what we discuss now in terms of what we're doing with the front is going to be temporary. We're not going to invest a whole lot into it, but we would just like it to be a little more aesthetically pleasing than it is in the meantime. So thank you for taking a look at it, and Jeff, go ahead, you can let us know what you have in mind.
Or can you open up the other one, the other side plans? Okay, perfect, alright, so what you have in front of you are, there's 6 sheets of paper. The first 2 are the plans for the basketball court, and that was done a few years ago, back like 2019. That's the first sheet is the existing prior to the basketball court being constructed. And then at the top of the second sheet is, you can see there's a basketball court, you can see the basketball court on it, but I kinda highlighted in red on that first sheet where the basketball court is, and you can kinda see it in reference to what the parking lot used to look like. Okay.
Yep.
So then the deal appointment?
Not that works on the screen. There's special points.
I thought we had one.
We did.
Any questions about
You wanna get
the
up and
first 2
point?
sheets?
You can take the microphone.
And then the next 2 sheets are plans of what the proposed existing looks like. So you can see the town hall building is on the left. There's the parking that we have in front with the 2 EV chargers. And then there's a gravel parking area on the opposite side. There's a little, we call it a little median. And there's an entrance coming from the exit off of South Greeley. And that's kind of in, and then you kind of go out the same way. That's that third sheet. The fourth sheet is what we're proposing, which I'll get into a little bit more in a minute. And then the last 2 sheets are, we have really 2 options for finishing the surface of this proposed parking lot, if you want to go ahead with it. One of them is for gravel drive aisle, and the other one is for permeable paver drive aisle. So I guess first thing to start with, I'll kind of talk about the general things of what we're doing. So this is what this really is a phase 2 of the original plan for the basketball court. First phase was to put in the basketball court, redo the parking in the back. The second phase, you can go that other one.
So what page are we looking at, the
You're
S1
looking
or
at
S3?
on the first page, and really the second page I think is the most important one, which is it says phase 1 and phase 2 on it, top and the bottom.
Next page, right one.
In the bottom right corner it says L 1.1.
Got it.
Okay, so again, you can see the basketball court on the top on the left side. In the lower one, you can see this is what Barton and LaJudas had proposed for the additional parking. We lost about 18 parking spots approximately when we did the basketball court. I'm sorry, we lost, it took up 18 spots, we gained 9 back in the redesign of that parking lot. And then this new phase 2 would kind of add those parking spots, add those 9 parking spots back in. So we'd kind of be back to where we were as far as the number of parking, to prior when the basketball court was installed. Barton and LaJudas's, we looked at that when we were looking at options for how to design this new parking lot, and we had made some changes to it. The phase 2 that Barton and LaJudas proposed had a similar one-way circulation, but it has it actually connected it increased the size of that parking lot from what it is right now, that rear sort of dirt parking lot we'll park now, and it also leaves it increases the coverage of asphalt and impermeable development coverage.
What we did, we looked at, we tried to decrease, now if you go to S3, which I think is the fourth sheet that I gave you.
And
That's,
Jeff, I just wanna point out too, when we were considering those, you mentioned the impervious. I think we had to do some stormwater.
yeah, so I'll get into that too. I have sort of like project details and methods, so I just kinda wanna go over kind of what we're doing. This new plan that we created in-house, we actually decreased the amount of impervious coverage from what's currently out there by about 400 square feet. It closes off the entrance from the one-way off of South Greeley. If you notice, we have a little dark green area towards the top above the parking. So we're actually gonna, that's all gonna be closed off, we're gonna replant it. And I've talked to the environmental coordinator, we're gonna have, once everything's done, we're gonna actually have one of the boards do either the beautification board or somebody do a like kind of a landscape plan where we have a nice tree fund, we can do vegetation, things like that, bushes to make it, make it aesthetically pleasing.
And where is the garden? Is it in that light green section?
Yeah, it's just to the left, the current garden is just to the left of that darker green area. So we basically turn that entire, right now there's a driveway that comes off of that little one-way from South Greeley. It's not, the road's not named, but you know where you're coming
Right.
off of South Greeley. You
So
can
I
actually make a
had
left.
suggested coming in from the other way so we could close that off.
Yeah, so
And it
we're
could be a
closing that
nice
off in this
sitting
plan.
area.
Yep, we're closing that
Yeah.
off in this plan. Like I
Okay.
said, we can do plantings once we kind of see what we have. So general project details I'll kind of go over. So again, closing off that north entrance to the parking area. It'll be one way in and one way out, circular drive, and that you would enter just next to the EV parking spaces. When you come in right in front of town hall, there's the two EV spaces on your left. We'd actually create an opening there, and you would drive through there into the back parking area, and then it would cycle one way out where the current stop sign is, close to the exit near Washington.
Sorry, could you just go over the traffic flow again?
Absolutely. So I can stand up, like,
Take the mic with you.
thank you. Is this working? Alright, so as I mentioned, we're closing off this area that comes from South Korea. The traffic flow would come in off this one way, it would come down here. We have these two EV chargers, and we'd actually make an entrance. So there's two spots here right now, and we're shifting those to the south. And you would actually come in here all one way, come down this way, and then exit out this way, and out the same entrance that we have. We have straight-in parking to the north, and we have angle-in parking on either side. The two options I'll mention, either option that we have, we're gonna hardscape with permeable pavers, the spots, so it'll delineate where people can park. And then the option is either gravel for this parking area, for this driveway, or we can do a permeable paver. And I'll go over the benefits of that.
So can I ask you, have we made this area bigger than it was? I mean, it certainly is bigger now with the snow having been shoveled off.
Yep.
And it's a much bigger area.
So when we're done, we did a net analysis over here. We're actually, for this alternative, we're actually at almost 400 square feet less of coverage with this plan versus what's out there now. Okay, it's a 20 by 20 foot area, just about. So it's smaller. And that was kind of the point of what we wanted to do: close this off, give us back some area, but also do something that's not necessarily permanent. Though we did build in some features that allow it to become permanent if we choose it to become permanent.
But now you have in the new space, not the space that's always been in front of town hall, but in this new space you have two areas of parking instead of one.
Are you talking on each side?
Yeah, we have not had that other side to the right,
Correct, we've only
which
had
is
this side. This
so-
side we push a little bit past, I believe, but it's also much more, it's more narrow. And again, we're closing off, this area is gonna be all.
So the point is that now we're going to have a deeper area
It goes
of seeing
back.
cars in front of town hall.
Yeah, it goes back, I wanna
So-
say the original goes back to, can you go back to the previous sheet, Laura?
I guess I wanna know why that's necessary.
We needed it in order to, so this is where the current, is right here. So you see it's, and I don't know what the scale is here, it's probably like it's probably like, I don't know, 15 feet or something like that now. And you know, we're reducing it to maybe 5 or 6 or 7, I think. I don't know the exact numbers, but I can let you know. So we are pushing it farther back this way, but we're pulling all this into this spot here.
So how many cars can we fit now?
Really, we can fit about 7 or 8. Really, we can fit about 7 or 8. I mean, people will kind of park wherever they want. They even park. There's gravel here. They park on this gravel.
Right, yeah.
You know, so you can fit probably 8 or 10 now, comfortably.
On the second bay.
On this one, yeah, because all this is pulling. When you back out, there's no room for cars here unless people park on the grass, which people do. Like when 2 weeks ago when we had the big truck show over at the library, people just they pull right up on the grass. So
And if you
I think
didn't-
they had 20 cars in there at least.
And if you didn't have this new entrance to it,
This one right here.
yeah, wouldn't you be able to
So we don't have enough area here to have, this has to be a one-way flow. We don't have enough area here to turn around. We looked at all different turning, methods of turning where we would come in, coming over here, coming over here. We just can't make the number of spots work with the area that we have. Because when you pull in, you have to have room to back out, right? So when you pull in, if you pull into a spot here, when you back out, you can't put cars on this side.
but they were backing out before. So
Well,
how are they doing?
Well, you can back out, but you can only have spots along this. If you only had spots here, you'd have to have an entrance somewhere. So the fact that we're closing this off, like right now, people can come in this way and go out this way. When we close this off and bring the entrance here, there's not room to back out and go back out the one way because we need 2 ways of travel, so we have to open up. This has to be a certain width. This has to be a certain width. It has to be 25 feet wide. We just don't have, the spots are 20 feet. If we had another 25 feet for 2 lanes, it would be a total of 45 feet, and that 45 feet puts us back past here. Does that answer your question?
Somewhat. I mean, so right now that area is one way, right? Because you can't,
Correct. So people come in this way, they can pull in here,
right?
and when they back up, they can back up this way and then go out this way. If we close this off, and technically we don't have room for 2 lanes here, but again, it's just what's here. If we do this, if we design it to the DOT specifications, we have to have 18 feet for parking spots or 20 feet for parking spots and then 25 feet for 2 lanes in order to drive 2 lanes.
I guess my point is they don't have that now and they're managing to get in and out with a
Correct.
one way.
Well, yes, because there's no lines, there's no nothing. So people just make do with what they have. But if we have to design it and make defined areas of lanes and things like that, we can't make this one, we can't make this 1 lane in and 1 lane out. It's not something an engineer would design, because what happens if someone's here and someone's here, they have to wait. That's how accidents happen.
Well, they're going in and out from the same lane right now. And I'm not suggesting that this small area that you have now be the one way in or out. It was going to be closer to Washington Avenue. You could, so I thought that would be the entrance.
You don't,
And
where would be the
exit.
entrance? Over here?
Yeah,
Like coming
well,
in
not
from
off
the
of
other side?
Washington, but I mean towards that side.
Where the entrance
Well,
and
that's
exit
where the current plan is showing.
The current plan, but it also has this open here, so I mean theoretically, could we come in here and out here? Yes, but you would lose spots. By having an entrance here and an exit here, you would lose these spots.
No, I'm not suggesting that.
That's because what that phase 2 plan has is you would come in here and you would exit here.
Yeah, I see.
Correct. I believe that also pushes, that plan also takes away all of this space. I believe it pushes the parking all the way out almost to this access road. So all this space that we would put the peace post and all that, and the trees, that would all be gone with their plan. They said the idea of this plan was to sort of maximize the amount of green space, but also give us the proper amount of parking.
Right, okay.
That is, you know, engineering how you design a parking lot to have, you know, free flow without, you know, there's an issue if we design something that does not meet DOT standards.
Right, I understand.
or,
Okay,
you know,
yeah.
So everything when we, you know, again, people are just sort of making do with this. It's just not necessarily the best way to have.
Okay, and hopefully we can plant some shrubs
Absolutely.
and other plants that can hide
Absolutely.
that extra lane of cars there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, I understand.
Alright, so I can go over the plan now. I'll put this back. So again, we're adding those 9 additional parking spots that we lost when we did the basketball court. As I noted, this in one plan, the spots themselves, either plans, the spots themselves are all, we use it's called a grass paved permeable pavers. If you guys have been to I believe it's Amsterdam Park that has the grass pavers in the parking area, so we'd use that similar style grass pavers, and it would be planted with grass, so you'd see the grass coming through. Ideally, you see the grass coming through the grass pavers, and then one plan has the entire drive area where the arrows are as the grass pave. The other option would just have that as gravel, which I'll get to the benefits and detriments of those options a little bit anyway. You know, this is fully lighted, so it'll be able to be used at night. There's not much lighting out there right now, so we have a couple extra lights from that phase 1 that the DPW is storing. We would install those in the new parking area to make sure it's well lit. I mentioned that this plan adds some infrastructure if we wanna make this permanent. So one of the, you know, when this plan was originally done back in 2019, there was if it was originally all going to be asphalt, which is considered impermeable, in which case we have to account for stormwater. I'm sure you guys are all aware, we have to install either a hydraulic
Sorry.
that's okay. Hydrodynamic separator or do some other way of treatment before we discharge it, which is extremely expensive. There's also some piping that's underneath the ground that is not in great shape. So the areas that we're touching, we're proposing to replace the underground piping in that area that's deteriorated. That way, if this does end up becoming permanent, we don't need to dig up something that we just installed. There's all new signage for the plan, stop signs and one-way signs and additional parking signs. Yeah, so I mentioned the one benefit over that phase 2 is lack of requiring stormwater. We designed with stormwater friendly materials. We used these permeable pavers, and we also the gravel option actually has storage below. So we would not have to make any upgrades for stormwater or development coverage or improvement coverage. These two options are much less expensive than the permanent, which would require all of the stormwater upgrades. It would, there's other things that we did that are more temporary that we could change to permanent in this plan. What else do we have? Yeah, I guess that's it as far as the project details. Anybody have any questions so far?
So our decisions are, well, beyond the point where we decide to go with this plan, is to have the permeable pavers as opposed to the gravel.
Correct. So
Is that our
that-
decision
The
point?
drive area where the arrows are, the gray area.
Yeah.
There's an option, there's about a $45,000 difference between using gravel and using a permeable paver. And I'll go over the benefits and detriments of each. And then at that point, if the town board wants to move forward, they could move forward with one of these, or if they want, if you guys want me to do something else, I'd be happy to look at it.
So what, you mentioned the grass pavers,
Mm-hmm.
is that in either of these two options?
So
For like
at
the
the
parking spots
end-
themselves, is
So
that?
the parking spots themselves do not change for either option, and the reason for that is we need to be able to delineate where the spots are. And if everything were all gravel,
we can't paint gravel, like it's just gonna be kind of a free for all, like you just park there.
That's where the grass pavers are.
Yeah, so the grass pavers really define, and what we did is the X pavers will be in the middle of the spot, and we used a second paver that actually works as our lines. So instead of lines that we're gonna paint on, we're actually gonna use a different paver that'll delineate the lines, that we're also using the rubber parking stops to show people where to park.
Okay.
What happens in the winter when there's snow on those?
Well, that gets into one of the options. So I can touch on that now. So if everything were permeable paver, this is the more expensive option. We do permeable paver on the one way in and one way out. No change. It can be paved just like the park. You know, you have to take a little bit more care with it, but really shouldn't change much. If we were to do gravel in that parking area, I would recommend that we don't use that in the winter. Because if it's very difficult for our plows to actually not push, as you guys saw, there was dirt piled up, they would do that with the gravel and then have to push it back. But more importantly, if the plow nicks one of the parking spots, it'll actually tear up the pavers. So if we wanted to go with the gravel parking area, we would just say, we're not gonna plow this in the winter, we're not really gonna use this in the winter. And you know, the thing about that is parking is less of a concern in the winter, so it probably wouldn't affect the amount of parking that we need. Really, our parking is really stretched thin really in the spring and summer and fall when it's nice out. You know, town employees are in until 5 o'clock or so, or later.
So what is your recommendation?
Let me withhold that for now. Let me get through this, and it really ultimately depends on what happens, what we want to do with town hall, right? To me, I think whatever we do with town hall, that spot, that parking lot is not going to get touched with more development. It might, depending on what you guys want to do with the plan, it might actually have less development, right? If you want to make more green space up there, if we do something with the building, if we put an addition in the back or something, or add parking, there's an infinite number of things, and until we see.
I don't know, I mean, I've heard some people suggest that if we put an extension on town hall, that it should go towards the street in order to make it more welcoming and have a community space that feels more connected to the town. So I'm not so sure.
I'm an engineer, so I don't really do designs.
You're putting that out there.
I don't do the print.
Yeah.
I can tell you the nuts and bolts, but functionally, to me, I would suggest going with the permeable pavers around the entire thing. Again, just because it's easy to make it permanent. Unless we did want to build forward, and in that case, we're probably touching the entire front, and it makes more sense to go with the gravel on the driveway.
How much of an investment do we wanna make right now, knowing
Exactly.
that it's all could be subject to change?
It could be subject to change. There's about a $50,000 difference between the gravel and the permeable
That's
paver.
significant.
It is. It's
if
not
it's
a small
going to
number. Be ripped up.
change.
But it's not only that, it's that it can be damaged so easily.
With the gravel, it's less likely to be damaged. If it's all permeable paver, it's not likely gonna be damaged because the plow is gonna be on a hard surface the entire time. The danger of using the gravel in the driveways is that the plow can dig into the gravel and then it'll be below the level of the paver, and then it'll catch the paver and it'll ruin all the pavers around it. It'll break them, it'll push them, and it'll have to be all be reset. So like I said, if you wanted to go with that option, that's a much more short-term solution. It requires a lot more maintenance because every spring and maybe a few times a year, the DPW is gonna have to come in and level out the gravel where if ruts form, again, can't plow it.
That's what we're doing now.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, when I made this suggestion, I really didn't anticipate something so elaborate. I was just suggesting that we have the garden side of this area be cut off from traffic so we can have a nice sitting area, and hopefully the garden club could put shrubs around the parking areas, and that we have the entrance and exit come out from where you have it now. I thought it was going to be a relatively simple switch from the entrance being from the the rec field area to, toward, the southern end.
So
So this is obviously a lot more elaborate and, now we have to go by DOT standards, so I didn't realize it would be such an elaborate change.
It's
Yeah,
also, it's pretty pricey, right? We're
Right, I
Yeah.
just thought we were changing
if
the traffic flow configuration and basically adding some landscaping and leaving it more or less as is until we could make a more permanent decision.
we may be able to do something like that, it would probably reduce the amount of spots. The issue is, we have lane width requirements, we have turning requirements. When you back out of a parking spot, there's a certain amount of space that you need in order to safely back out of a parking spot and turn around. Again, if we have two-way traffic, then we have to make room for two car widths, which is
Right.
25 feet.
But that's the current situation, we have two-way traffic and we have cars sort of informally parking in this gravelled area. Right?
So that's it works because of where the entrance is. The entrance is on that the one way off of South Greeley. If we close that, when we close that off, that's what really limits kind of what we can do. Because now we have, we have to have a total of 25 feet opening in that existing parking that comes from the drive area just directly in front of Town Hall. And that takes away 3 spots in front of Town Hall. So we'd have to add a minimum of 3 spots behind Town Hall in order to make that work. And again, with the turning movements, it makes things very difficult to add a significant number of spots without expanding the size of the area. I can absolutely kind of walk you through. We came up with probably a half a dozen options, and this sort of seems to be the best one when we circulated it through the department heads. But I can certainly show you that we have several more that we looked at.
I find myself asking the question, is it worth making any investment right now, given we haven't even finished the needs assessment?
Yeah, I was getting to that point. I thought this was going to be something relatively easier or much simpler than this, although I understand why it has to be this way. And I'm getting to the point that Holly just articulated, that maybe this is
Absolutely.
a little too elaborate for what I thought was something, basically would be a landscaping plan.
Yeah, I definitely think we should wait and see what the needs assessment says. I think we started this, I think just before, right around we were talking about even doing a needs assessment, so it's been a little while in the making.
Well, maybe we do the landscaping anyhow. We'll talk to the garden club and see what they can do. And let's revisit this again after we have some information at least from the needs assessment.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate the time and thought that's gone into this, because I don't think that we could see it as clearly until you did this, so
Yeah,
don't
thank
think-
you for
don't think it's in vain.
for doing
No,
all
that's
of
okay,
this.
and listen, my
We may use
staff,
it, yeah,
my staff
so-
did most of the work.
Okay,
So,
well,
I don't wanna take credit for that.
It's important for everybody to understand, we don't love the way the front of Town Hall looks, we're
I
all
understand.
very aware of it, but there are some very practical concerns. And we have to be mindful about the bigger picture here, because we are doing a needs assessment, there's going to be an investment in Town Hall, and maybe this project should be put on hold for now, so we're not spending money unnecessarily, which no one wants to do. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you so much.
And again, if anybody has any questions, feel
Really
free.
appreciate all the time you put into it, and like I said, it's not necessarily a loss, we may use this again at some point.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you.
You don't know what you wanna do until you actually can plan it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it turns out it's not, it's
Yeah,
not it.
Not what you
That's
thought
okay.
it would be.
Visualization really
Thank you.
helps.
Okay.
You don't know until you do the exercise,
And
though.
the pricing helps too.
That too.
I was trying to keep it at about half of what came out.
Yeah.
Things just keep, things add up.
Okay, and so the last thing we need to do is just very quickly go through the administrative items and then we'll get to the board meeting.
Okay, we have retroactive payment of claims for checks dated April 3rd, 2026. We have the authorization to approve banner requests for the CCSD school budget vote. The banner is to be placed from May 12th to May 20th. We have another banner request from the Chappaqua Children's Book Festival. The banner is requested to be up from September 13th through September 27th. That event is on the 26th. We have authorization to solicit bids for the Millwood Water Treatment Plant heating oil tank replacement project. Lero Engineers has completed the design and we're ready to go out to bid. Cost of that is estimated at $1,125,000. We have authorization to solicit bids for water maintenance materials for non-extended contract items. These are just various maintenance materials that we use throughout the year. In aggregate, the total runs between $50,000 and $80,000 on an annual basis. We have an authorization to solicit bids for sludge and anthracite removal, Millwood Water Treatment Plant. We put this out to bid annually. We also have an authorization to solicit bids for Millwood Water Treatment Plant chemicals. Christina's probably favorite bid in the world. That's also an annual bid, unfortunately. We have an authorization to purchase a valve for the Millwood Water Treatment Plant from Tech Sales Inc. At a cost not to exceed $30,297. We have the authorization to utilize town property for the Chappaqua Garden Club plant sale, May 7th, 8th, and 9th. We have the authorization to utilize town property. This is to close Kitchell Road for their annual block party. This year it is on June 20th, 2026 from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. We have an authorization to approve the annual contract with VCS. This is the police payroll software, $1,570. $1,507.29. We have the authorization to purchase 2 new police radios at a total cost of $15,016.22. We have an authorization to award the bid for the 2026 summer camp bus transportation services. These are the on-the-go trips. It's also for transporting campers to the swimming program. We're going to award the bid this year to First Student. They are the same company that had the bid last year. We have an authorization to enter into an agreement with Seven Bridges Swim Club for summer campers to swim there over the summer, $6,357.50. We have a resolution authorizing the acceptance of 4 maintenance bonds at Chappaqua Crossing. One is stormwater management, one is the sanitary sewer, one is the water main maintenance, and the final is the tree replacement bond. This is another step in the process for Toll Brothers completing their work at the Chappaqua Crossing. And we have the 154th anniversary of Arbor Day proclamation, April 24th of 2026 is the date this year.
Okay, thank you, Rob. May I have a motion to adjourn the work session and open the town board meeting?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are hereby at our town board meeting. Rob, do you have any announcements?
I'll turn to Christina.
I just wanted to let everyone know the April taxes have been mailed. Everyone should have received them. If you, as opposed to your bank, are responsible to pay them, please make sure they are mailed to us or dropped off in our office or in our drop box no later than April 30th. If you are mailing it, please be sure to witness the postmark on the actual envelope. A lot of post offices aren't even putting the postmark on it. It goes to some central location and then gets postmarked. So you may think you drop it in the mailbox outside the post office and it will definitely get postmarked. Please do not do that. We've had that happen within town to several people and it's very costly. So thank you.
Thank you, Christina. That's it, okay, and for the supervisor's report, because it's getting late and people have been waiting, I will hold my report for the town newsletter, but I do want to acknowledge that this is Lauren Cascone's last meeting. Rob, I don't wanna steal your thunder if you're going to say something, but I'd just like to say something on behalf of the board. This is Lauren's last meeting, and she'll be leaving in a few days, and Lauren, we will miss you very much. You've served the town for a long time, both in the town administrator's side and on the town clerk side, and I just wanna say that we wish you the very, very best in the future, and I hope you come and visit us. Okay, alright.
You did steal my thunder just a little bit.
Sorry, well, this
I
is on
will-
behalf of the board,
I
so
will
you can,
personally
you
thank
can
Lauren
repeat.
for helping me to transition the last year. She made the transition a little smoother for me, so on a personal level, I'm gonna miss her. But I wish her the best, absolutely. Just a couple other items that I have for the administrator's report. We mentioned a couple times in the last few minutes the building needs assessment. So we had the kickoff meeting for that a couple weeks ago. Sabrina and Jeff, myself, met with DCAK here. So we kinda got a roadmap of where we're going. Next step in the process is actually occurring tomorrow. They'll be on site to perform an interior survey of the building. So they have plans. We've chopped up this building so much over the last probably 30 years. We've added offices, rearranged offices, so they need to get a visual on what actually is here now. So that step's occurring tomorrow. So that project is moving forward. One other project I wanted to mention that is moving forward. We continue to meet with them on a bi-weekly basis, Barton and Lujudas on the chat line. So they're getting ready to give us a proposed final route for the path. So that was contingent on the survey results that they had in the fall. They've been working with Dennis, our environmental coordinator here. Dennis has kind of reviewed the work of the surveyor and just confirming the wetlands delineations, because that is that dictates where the path is gonna go. We try to avoid the wetlands. We have a lot of concerns trying to stay on town property, trying to avoid the wetlands, so that kind of dictates where the path is gonna go. And they told me they're a couple weeks away from having that final path to us. There's one more area of wetlands they wanted to confirm with Dennis, and so that project is moving forward as well.
Great, do you think we'll have some sort of update or report by the next meeting?
Probably not by the next meeting, I don't think, but it should be in the spring here.
Okay, look forward to that.
And you mentioned Lauren leaving. Lauren's not the only person that is leaving us. I have two retirements to report. After 35 years with the town, Walter Quast, our everything go-to guy in the town. He's our buildings and grounds foreman, and sadly he's leaving us after 35 years, and he has certainly put in his time. He picks up the phone at any hour, drops what he's doing at any hour to come here, at any of our town facilities. So we are sad to see Walter go. And we're going to also say goodbye, at least on a full-time basis, to Diana Caffarelli. She's been with the town 22 years, but well over 30 years of experience within the retirement system. My right-hand person in the comptroller's office for 18 years. And I really don't lie when I say she taught me everything I knew about government accounting, because that wasn't my background before I got here. But she'll be missed, but we're fortunate that Diana's gonna come back on a part-time basis to kind of help the transition move through. There's just too much for her to do, to walk away all at once, and this gives her kind of a softer landing. So she's gonna do that for I think at least through the end of the year, and that will help out our staff. So we say goodbye to all three of them.
It's a lot of
Wish
people.
everybody the best of
Yeah.
luck.
Yeah, and thank you to Walter for everything you've done. We will definitely miss you, and to Diana, I mean, you know, we can't say enough for these individuals who've done so much. Rob, I think you've said it really adequately, but I just wanna say thank you and we will miss you all and wish you the best for the future. Okay, all right, so we're going to move on. Before the public hearing, we have public comment, new business. So anyone who has public comment for the town that is not related to 50 North Greeley, please either come up to the microphone or if you're online, you can raise your digital hand. So anyone in person for public comment other than 50 North Greeley. Okay, anyone online? Okay, seeing that there are no public comments for new business, I will close this section of the meeting and we will move to our public hearing. Before I open up the public hearing formally, I would like to invite the representatives from the owner or applicants for 50 North Greeley for the property to come up if you like and make a presentation or tell us what you'd like to say about the property and then we'll open it up to public comments. So please introduce yourself. I'm sorry, I wasn't given a roster of names and titles, so I'll let you do that.
That's all right,
Welcome.
welcome everybody. Thank you, my name is Michael Finan, I'm with the firm Langen Engineering. With me this evening are several people, so hopefully I get it all correct. We have our project architect, Andy Ruff. We have the applicant, Jeff Davis. We have the property owner, Don Feinberg, and members of his family. I don't know all their names, but they're here tonight. And with me here from Langen is Christina Zolezzi. She's a civil engineer, as is myself. As you noted, we're here tonight for 50 North Greeley, which is a mixed-use building. There's some history. I know that you all may have been here or may not have been here, so I'll go briefly through some history just so you have a little bit of that.
We have some new members. Holly, were you here?
Yes.
Bring that to Holly, but we have Jen Klein here and Eric Marmon who were
Right.
not.
So again, I'll hit it high level. If you have questions, we can get into it in more detail. But again, I know you've been at this for a long time tonight, so we'll try to keep this informative but brief.
No, this is important, so
Understood.
take all the time you need.
So we started with a submission back in October of 2021. That is what started this process back about 5 years ago. That process concluded in October 2023 with a negative declaration issued by your board for the legislation of the NG0, which allowed or made way for this process to begin and what's bringing us here tonight for a special permit and site plan review and approval. In that time since the negative declaration was issued, we've been working hard with your staff, who have been very accommodating, to review engineering details to get us to a completed application, of which really has not changed the negative declaration that you've issued. All of those core elements of the project remain the same. It's just, again, dotting our i's and crossing our t's and making sure that the engineering and architecture elements have been addressed appropriately. We are going to go through some of those tonight, or at least the ones we think are important to you and the public. We won't be going through detailed architecture. We think we've done that. None of that has changed. It's been the same. You'll see pictures of what the building will look like. But largely we'll be focusing on the site plan elements and how that has shaped over the last couple of, we'll call years or months or weeks or whatever you want to call it, since we've been, since you issued a negative declaration. So with that, we have a presentation that we're going to go through. This is our quick agenda. So we have a project overview, site plan and grading and drainage information, some architectural design, the construction schedule, sequence and staging, and then some visualization. Next. So just as applicant, owner went through that before. And again, I should have mentioned online, it's easy to forget. We do have Nanette Bourne, who is our planning consultant. She's online listening here with us as well. But this is our team that's here tonight. So this is a site location, just to put everything in context for you. We're dead center in the middle of this screen at 50 NG or North Greeley. You'll all know it as the former Rite Aid site. Again, this is just giving you context of how this site is situated within the North Greeley corridor. Next, Dan. Yep. And I'm gonna turn this over to Andy, he's gonna go through some project information just to give you the details of the building, but that is an actual rendering of what we think this structure will look like.
Hi everyone, like Mike said, my name is Andy Ruff, I'm with GOA Architecture, also joined here by Lisa Gray, one of our partners at our office. And so the project metrics and image you see before you are very similar to what we shared previously during the special permit legislation process. There, as Mike said, there have been some, I'd say, minor revisions and refinements based on feedback from town staff. And so the project data you see here summarized on the left, this is a 50-unit building. It's just over 79,000 square feet. It's approximately 48'7" in height, 4-story building. There's a mixture of units, studios, 1 and 2 bedroom units. And then at the ground level, there are 2 commercial spaces which are designed to shield the surface parking of 50 surface parking spaces in the rear for residents, 2 service spaces or 2 shared spaces for vehicles that the residents have use of, and then a single loading space to the north of the project.
So yeah, you're driving and talking. So we're gonna go through the existing conditions and then the proposed conditions, but before I do that, I just wanted to make note that we also did receive the town staff memo today. We've read through that memo. A lot of the conditions, if you've read it, we've agreed to along the way, so there's nothing in there that we aren't amenable to and agreeable to. I think there's 2 minor or maybe 3 minor modifications we gotta make. 1 clarification to the EAF, 1 edit to the EAF, and 1 minor plan change, I believe. So just to put that out there, that we did receive the memo, we reviewed it, and we're 100% on board with what's in it. So existing condition, I think everybody generally knows the site. This is showing the building in white on the right side of the page. And then of course the surface parking lot that we all see there today. There's essentially 2 main driveway curve cuts that serve the parking lot on the left-hand side. And then there's a service entrance on the north of the building, which has a pretty expansive curb cut. All of this will be removed as part of the project. It is, the site today is essentially 100% impervious coverage through the parking lot and building and other things that are on the site. There are some minor areas of green space, but very little, which is about an acre. The property is about an acre in size. So that's the existing condition. There is some, because it'll become important later, there's some parking out in front of the structure today. I think there's about 12 parking spaces that exist today that are striped along the our side of the street. So this is our site plan, grading and drainage plan, and I could walk over there and point to things as we go through it if it helps. But essentially the gray out area is the structure. That it will be a superstructure that's constructed above, mostly above parking. And in fact, I think I'm gonna go over there. So on the page north or upper part of the page, this is your below building parking, which is where residents will park. And then there's some at-grade spaces that Andy can go through if you need, but that's essentially the ground level. And then there's structure above, as you saw in the image that we showed you earlier.
And just remind me, so the first 2 bays are where the retail spaces
That's correct.
are, and then the
That's correct.
3rd and 4th are just
These are
the amenities.
retail
Okay.
space, right, Andy, over here?
Yeah.
It's all good. So there are, easier to show when I get to the plan, but there's 1 large retail space here. There's another smaller retail space here, and you can see the edge that separates the retail space from the parking spaces to the rear.
Okay. And at street level on the northern end, what do you have there? Would those be amenities?
Yep.
The building?
Yeah, so given the building's length, there are 2 main entrances into the building for residents. So there's a south entry, you can see here. And on the north, you can see the arrows pointing down. So there is a north elevator, a south elevator, and lobbies corresponding to each.
Our primary driver entrance will be here which gets you in and out of the surface parking lot below the building. If you recall, there's an existing curb cut here, and one on the north side in the existing condition. So we're consolidating that down into one, and there will be a service entrance on the north, but much smaller. The remaining site space outside of some green space up on the north and some planters that we've incorporated into the plan will be walking surface and or patio surface for the residents to enjoy. Also shown on this plan, again, very convoluted plan for you is our stormwater management system. You know that that's been a highly discussed topic for this area because there's a lot of flooding in the area. But we went through an exercise with the town engineers, we'll say, because it's been over a span of time. Actually, go back, Andy, I'll explain a little bit more and we'll get to that. So what we've done is a couple of elements we've incorporated into the building. One is green roofs. So there's about 27,000 square feet, I believe, or 23,000 square feet of green roof we're incorporating into the structure. That's at the top, and then as you work your way down on the surface, there's going to be planters that have a specific media within them that filter stormwater from our walkways and or patios, and then runs that through a perforated pipe back into our below grade detention system. This is a solid below grade detention system. It will not allow water in, only from our piped surfaces. And then we are metering that back out into the town system. The reason for that is we are doing a better job here. We are decreasing the rate of runoff from the site than what exists today. So as I said earlier, right now it's all impervious. There are direct connections to the stormwater system, uncontrolled right out into the system. We are green roofing it, planter filter areas, and then bringing it into a storage system and then controlling it on the way out. So now we can go to the next image, which show the breakdown of our areas, drainage areas, and maybe this gets a little too nuanced, but we've looked at all of our existing conditions and where stormwater is flowing. We identified those point of connections based on parking surface, green space, building, and northern parking lot or service area. And each one of these are distinct areas delivering stormwater to the system today uncontrolled. But what I mean uncontrolled is there's no detention, there's no water quality, it's just going right out into the system. And ultimately down to where you see a lot of flooding. In our proposed condition, we are breaking that up, as you can see, through green roof, right? So now you have, we're in a time delay when you have green roof. Water hits that green roof, it's uptaken by the plants, or it's filtered through media. Again, time delay, getting us down into the structure or below the structure, where we'll then have it into a storage system, and then that storage system meters it back out into the public system.
What does time delay mean as it relates to a green roof?
Yeah, so, like if water were to fall on a parking lot today, this drop of water that lands here would run faster to that point over an impervious surface than if that were a grass surface, right? It's slowed down by virtue of a roughness factor.
Right.
So what we're doing with the green roof is when that water drops on that green roof, it filters through media, then it hits the pipe, and then it comes down into the system. So it's delaying the time at which it gets to the termination point by essentially installing that green roof. So all of that is just a net benefit on the system overall. We are, like I said, reducing, I think we had a requirement to reduce the rate of runoff by your town engineer by upwards of 10%, if not more.
And you've had success doing that with green roofs in other places?
Yes. And it's an approved New York State DEC stormwater management practice, which again, this project theoretically doesn't qualify, but we still implemented all the DEC criteria for stormwater on the project, whether it was through water quality treatment or quantity or the implementation of these green practices.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next, Andy. I'll mention, we are on public sewer and water. The building will have 2 sewer connections. Again, this was a topic of discussion because we know that there's current I&I or infiltration and flow issues in the current system where stormwater gets in, eats up capacity in your sanitary sewer. We have an obligation to make improvements within the system at a ratio of 3-to-1, meaning our flow at a rate of 3-to-1. So if we have 1 gallon of flow, 3 gallons of flow we're required to mitigate within the system. That's not our real numbers, that's just the ratio at which we have to, but there is a commitment to contribute towards I&I improvements within the system. Like I said, we're having 2 connections. One will be a town connection and the other is a county connection to the sewer line. Because the the Rite Aid is currently connected to the county system, we're gonna reuse that flow and then connect the other end to the town. Water is a straight up water connection.
Excuse me 1 second.
Yeah.
How will that be affected by the county work on the county sewer system? Is that,
It's below it's below the county system. So it's not gonna affect.
okay,
We've had
They have to
discussions.
get permitting from
Yeah.
the county in order to do this, so
because they'll be doing work, is that going to be on the Joan Corwin Way county system?
the county has to permit this, so
Right.
part of their review of this will be the timing of the work that they're planning for Joan Corwin Way with where they're gonna connect into that system.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we are connecting on the page right or north end of the site, there's a county trunk line that runs right through our
Right.
property. And there is a physical connection there today, so we're reusing that connection at its size, at its capacity. We've spoken to Marion Papa about it and they've agreed.
Oh, right, that was the connection that caused you to have to remove a unit.
I
At
believe
the
so,
time.
yes, because we had to shrink the building.
Right,
Yes.
right,
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm gonna turn this back to Andy to talk about.
I think that the microphone for the town is muted for people listening.
Okay.
This one?
Thanks.
Well, you know what, we have microphones from the ceiling, so I think
Yeah, the microphone from the ceiling will catch any other discussion, that's more for people in the room, I think, the microphone.
it's okay, people will hear you online and on the video.
Perfect. So this is just to revisit exactly the question you raised about the organization at the ground level, some of those spaces and how they are oriented towards the public way. So as Mike was saying, the light green you have are 19 locations, some of those are located within stormwater planters. Others along the rear of the property are landscape buffers, Metro North tracks. All of these are planted with native species that we have reviewed with the town staff as part of this process. Additionally, the light gray is hardscape, and so that is at-grade connections back to public sidewalk. And those are essentially designed to be a continuation of the public sphere. And so you'll notice that as we move from the south, we have a Muse connection up to the south lobby entrance for residents. We move past the southern extent of the commercial space. We have a contained patio space that again opens up onto the public sidewalk. That repeats again, and then finally we have
Can I interrupt for a moment? Andy, they're having a hard time hearing you. If you can stand in the middle of the room and talk, cause
Okay.
the microphone is in the ceiling, maybe that'll work.
okay. Can you hear me? So again, we have the public drive aisle, which brings you back to the 52 parking spaces under the podium, and then the north lobby bike room, which is located. The bike room was located early on discussions around the chap line, which it sounds like that is progressing, which is exciting. So kind of grabbing on it and giving kind of publicly accessible locations for residents to link into that network as it comes online, and then the dark gray space to the northernmost part of the site, that is a loading space, which also to the point about the county line, that is located over the county line easement. So we can't actually locate anything on that northern portion of the site because of the easement for the county sewer line. So that has to remain unbuilt space for in perpetuity. These are all some of the elevations from the plans that we submitted. These match the renderings that we've shared earlier in the presentation, and then we'll also share, oh, that sounds better to me at least. Match the drawings we have at the end, but just as a to illustrate some of the conditions that we have. So on the top of the page, we have the elevation facing onto North Greeley, which you can see again is broken up by four.
It's a little too much.
Four primary volumes.
Oh, can we get some help with the mic?
Too much.
Nope. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you.
So the North Greeley elevation has kind of four primary building volumes that reach out towards the street, and then we have these the three recessed sections, which are where we have entrances into retail spaces at grade or the parking structure, and then on level 2, that's where the residents for the courtyard residents have access to elevated courtyards. So that is all part of the green roof system that Mike was describing, a combination of extensive roofs on the upper level 4 roofs and then intensive roofs on the level 2 courtyards, which I'll elaborate more in a moment on the building sections. As we go down the page, you can see on the middle left is the north elevation as you're coming south along North Greeley, kind of the thin point of the site on the northern extreme. The middle right is the south elevation with the main resident entrance. And then finally, the lowest drawing is our rear elevation along Metro North. And so useful to note that one of the limitations in the plan organization that influenced a lot of this design was the fact that this does abut Metro North for a quite significant extent of the property line. And we can't, is that me? I don't think so. I'm not gonna touch that. And so we didn't want to locate residential units along that westernmost facade because in doing so, one, you're exposed to train noise, train brake dust, but also we'd have no ability for those residents to open their windows. And so the entire west facade is devoted to kind of circulation, back of house, amenity space. Whereas the bulk of the programming is shifted out to really interface with North Greeley. I will try to click it.
Is that from our equipment?
I think so.
It's not on my end, I don't believe.
Sabrina, are you back there?
It's not me.
We need help with the screen. There's an unmute notification that's coming up from our system. Sorry, this doesn't usually happen. I've never seen that before.
Well, at least the drawing that you can see on the bottom, this is just a typical section. So to orient you, on the right is Metro North, and you can see very lightly the elevated train tracks that are elevated, a bit from our site. And then to the left, you can see the curb cuts of North Greeley. So the general building design is that we are loading single loaded apartments with a corridor facing to the west towards Metro North. Those apartments then face into the courtyard, the shared courtyard at level 2, and then underneath we have the parking and retail podium. So that's it, and then above, which you can see a little bit less clearly, is the section through the bulk of the building where we don't have courtyards. But again, maintaining a consistent street edge along Metro North, which we think will be quite beneficial in terms of providing some sound attenuation to the rest of North Greeley. The detail section on the left reference what Mike described were the green roof systems. So these are New York State DEC approved green roof details, which utilize a combination of extensive, which is kind of shallow cross section and shallow plantings, and then intensive, which is a deeper soil cross section and more intensive plantings. The more intensive plantings would be located at the courtyards where we could actually be able to have something like a shrub or a tree, whereas the extensive is only on the level 4 roof, which is a low maintenance sedum roof.
Are we looking into what What's going on with the screen? Okay.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. This is very, is there any way to move it at least? Sometimes you can move,
It doesn't appear on
It's
mine.
not on-
no, you
it's
can't do it.
not
I'm
on
wondering
ours,
if
yeah.
we can.
Oh, hey,
Great.
alright. Small miracles, right?
Yes.
Alright, so staging and construction staging. So the next couple of slides you're gonna see are kind of an evolution of how we believe this will get constructed. It'll ultimately be formalized through site contractors and construction managers, but we believe this is a pretty good solid staging plan. So this is the existing condition, you know, we obviously have to take down the building, remove the pavement and do all of that before we can even do anything else, right? So starting off with that, we have in the brown or muted brown area is where we would stage construction trucks or vehicles that would be loaded with material and then leave the site. So they would come in, head up towards the north of the page right, and then kind of come in where those parking spaces are that we talked about earlier within the public right of way, that we would barricade off for a period of time for the duration of construction, which we're estimating at around 18 to 24 months. And the reason for the range is because there's weather and there's all sorts of things that impact construction. So we're applying a range, but we'd like to obviously get towards the lesser of time so that we can open up those parking spaces again. But those trucks will come in, they'll be barricaded and or separated from the traveled way, and they would queue and then they'd come into the site where you see the first dark arrow that heads into the existing parking lot, get loaded with any demolition material that was that came from the building and stored in the existing parking surface, loaded and off to its final destination. So the
Did
building.
you say about how many trucks a day?
Yeah, we are estimating about 2 to 3 trucks per day, and it's about a 4 to 5 week period for the demolition.
And where did you say the trucks are, they're queuing?
Maybe Andy can point while I talk so we can get everyone hearing. So they're gonna queue there, and they would come in from the page right, and then they would come into the site and out. And
So how are they getting into that queue?
so the upper driveway there, see where there's 2 arrows in and out, they'll come in, they'll back, and then they'll go down.
So they'll come from the left
Are they coming north?
Up North Greeley, they'll make a left into that service entrance area,
Okay.
back up a touch, and then come down the aisle.
Okay. And you had somewhere in your submissions, you had mentioned the hours.
Yes, we're gonna limit our hours of trucking from 10 to 2 to be cognizant of commuter traffic for working.
Right,
And
and the
then, of
school
course, the
district
school
buses
district.
just
Yes,
really swarm the area,
yep, that's why it's 2 o'clock.
starting around 2:22. So it's cutting it a little close.
Yeah, and I think we also said in there that we would work with the police and fire and the school if the timing has to shift here and there, we're amenable to that, but that's
Okay.
just our time band for right now.
Yeah, cause I mean, even events like a half day at the school could be
Yeah.
pretty disruptive.
Absolutely.
Or it could be pretty disruptive and dangerous, I think, also, cause we do have a school right in town.
Yep, we're fully aware, that was brought up by staff, and this was really a place where we can start to implement a discussion, and then I think part of our conditions that Sabrina put within the letter are to provide you with a full construction plan, where the routes would be coming from, how they'd be leaving. We would look at times of year when we're starting construction versus when we're finishing. So, you know, all of that we can't dictate because we don't have an approval yet. So we might start in summer, we might start in the middle of the school year, so we don't know. But all those details will be worked out upon issuance of a building permit.
Have you spoken to the Chappaqua Bus Company? Because I imagine the school buses go up North Greeley Avenue and
Yeah.
normally pass the property.
We-
So I'm
we
not
will.
sure
Yeah.
whether they would be able to, you know, regardless of what your hours are with the trucks, but with all the construction going on, I wonder if they can still use that route.
Oh,
'Cause I know that
absolutely.
there's
Yeah,
a condo
absolutely.
development up there, so just
Yeah.
wanna make sure that that's going to be a safe
See-
passage for.
CVAC is down there too, the volunteer ambulance
Right.
corps.
Right.
Are they on the list to speak with? Okay.
And do you anticipate parking on North Greeley? Any vehicles, trucks?
No, so initially we have on the north side there, that's where we would have our construction vehicle parking and storage on that north end during this phase of demolition.
And I also don't want to forget that there's a condo development to the north of that, Chestnut Oaks. And so they might want to meet with you at some point as well.
Sure.
I don't know if that's happened yet, but that's their, well, I guess they could go up Bischoff.
The
Before-
road will still be passable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're not,
okay.
we're only taking up the parking lane.
Just to point out for you to understand, this right here, this is the sidewalk right now, here. They're putting their fence here, and everything is gonna happen inside the fence. So the roadway will still be intact.
Right, and that's
What
why
won't
we
be
did
there
it.
is-
Directions.
In both directions, what will not be there are the parking spaces.
That's correct.
Right, I mean,
that
the question
side
is
of
how
the
much
street.
activity will be on the road, outside of the construction
Everything will be
area,
behind
so
the
that's.
Yep.
Yeah, I just
2 to
would
3
like to ask
trucks
that
per
you
day.
keep in mind that if there's a lot of traffic.
What will not be there are the parking spaces.
Okay, that was very strange.
That was me.
This has not happened before.
Honest to God.
So I'm just saying keep in mind
We will.
any unusual activity that might impede the residents from coming in and out, just
Of course.
be aware,
Yeah.
just be aware of
Yeah,
that.
there'll be flaggers, there'll
Yeah.
be all sorts of construction implementation on the site, but like we said, there's 2 to 3 trucks that we expect to be coming in and leaving during this operation
Okay.
per day.
Remind me, is there a sidewalk on the opposite side of the street?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
pedestrians will still have a safe passage.
Yes.
So this will get us to a white palette, or if you will, a slate where we can start construction of our new structure. So this is our second stage in the kind of starting to build the building. And where we're starting is grounded down, right? So we have footings we have to install, we have that stormwater system that I talked about. All of that will start in this stage, which we think will take about 2 months. So they'll all, again, same premise, working from that parking lane inward to the site. Our construction vehicles would be on the north end of the site again, and we'd start to excavate the site down in the middle to get those footings in, pour our concrete, form it, do all that. That excavated material would be hauled off a site on those trucks that we are queuing in the brown line there, and again, they would come in on that northern end, kind of do a little bit of a K-turn, come down, get loaded, and as they're loaded, they're leaving. And we're expecting, again, 2 to 3 trucks per day. We're providing for queuing space, just so they have it. And then, of course, there's going to be concrete trucks that come in once everything is excavated, cleared, formed, concrete coming in for the footings, and then putting in our stormwater elements and essentially setting up the foundation of the entire site for the superstructure to be built.
What kind of equipment do you anticipate needing for the footings and to go down?
Backhoes, standard backhoes, excavation equipment, nothing crazy. And then of course workers who will be forming those footings and pouring. Concrete will be through concrete trucks and standard pours. And they won't do them all at once, they'll do probably sections at a time.
Can I go back for a second to the demolition phase?
Sure.
What are your mitigation measures for dust and debris?
Yeah, so we have a SWIP on this project, the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan. Any dust or airborne anything would be done through wet suppression, right? So they would bring a water truck to the site and they would hose it off so that no dust is airborne.
Is the fencing around the entire perimeter, like even the back? I mean, so
Yeah.
it won't be like anything that people can or
No,
children can
yeah,
do it,
we don't
but
want anybody near
it'll
the
be
site.
locked.
Yeah, it'll be completely
Yeah.
enclosed.
No attractive nuisances.
That's right. Or places to
What
get
it's called.
hurt.
And
We'd like to stay safe.
And I know you said that the workers will park kind of in that back area. How many worker vehicles are we talking about coming in and out every day? And are you confident that they'll all fit on
Yeah.
that area?
So it's gonna vary, right? I don't think you can answer that in isolation. But initially, when you're talking about demoing this building and trucking that material off site, probably very few workers, cause it's excavation equipment. You don't need a team of people to do that. So I don't know, maybe 10 parking spaces at most, I would imagine, for a couple of folks to be on site just monitoring that process. And then as you start to get into more construction related elements like the foundations and other things, there might be more. But again, at that point, we're starting to build up the site to the point where our surface parking lot is available for them to be parked on.
So at no time will workers be parking on the street or?
That's not the expectation, yes. All on site. And if there's a need at some point, there was discussions about having them park off-site and carpooling to the site, but that would all be if those things were arising to advance schedule or do things to bring more people in to get it built faster, that's part of the conditions that Sabrina and others have asked us to incorporate into our documents.
Okay, and notification of?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Approval of that before we implement anything. There's no, you could just go do it without asking. There's a lot of safeguards built into the conditions that we've all worked out for a long period of time. So next, I think we covered next, but yeah, so onto this, and this is Andy.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to pick up on what Mike was saying, as the building gets into foundations, there are two zones of foundations that are important. So one is establishing all the foundations for the superstructure, which is in the darker gray tone. So that is the slab and the columns underneath and supporting all of the primarily retail space, the amenity space at the perimeter of the project. And then the second zone is the interior is the parking zone. And so as we establish those two zones, the goal is to have the covered parking. As soon as the podium is installed above it, that becomes the primary surface parking for the entire site, which is 52 spaces. So that is not only parking for workers, but it's also our loading zone, equipment storage, material storage. And then again, the strategy remains the same. We have a Jersey barrier installed along North Greeley. We have a zone where the current parking spaces are located, where we have opportunities for staging, whether that's for materials or for equipment. And then the only new addition is you can see the rectangles that are located in the recessed kind of plazas. That is the footprint of a mobile crane. And so as this building goes up, there will be kind of two primary scopes of kind of large scale structural installation. One is the steel for the first floor podium, and then the second is the timber sections for the second through fourth floor. So one of the conditions in the special permit is the use of environmentally sustainable carbon storing systems like mass timber, which I can happy to elaborate on, but the goal is that this would be a largely prefabricated building, so that the structure, both the steel as well as the mass timber elements forming the vertical structure as well as the enclosure for levels 2 through 4, that would be largely prefabricated and delivered to site as just-in-time deliveries.
How many cranes do you anticipate
Just
needing?
gonna
Yeah.
ask them.
So it's just a single mobile crane, but given the geometry of the site, that would have to move around. And so the idea is that can utilize those indents in the building to stage and locate itself, but it's just a single crane, it's a mobile crane. If you're imagining a tower crane, we're quite a far ways from that. The limits are really dictated by the reach, and so obviously we can't be on the tracks. We don't want to be on neighboring properties, and so all of the construction or erection is going to occur from basically essentially from the sidewalk in, and the crane locations in the staging of that will be located so that it can basically pick material as it's delivered from flatbeds and move it onto the building. The goal is to avoid double handling. We don't want to have material stored on site. We want to go from the truck into the building, and that's one of the benefits of this system that we've developed through the special permit legislation, is not just that it's a environmentally friendly and carbon storing material, but that it is rapid to assemble, and I think importantly for quality of life, it's very quiet to assemble. And so what we're not talking about is a lot of crew members, and we're also not talking about a lot of noise. So it's really, for a job of this size, you're talking about one crane operator, you have a guy on the ground who's directing the picks, you have someone driving the truck, and then you have maybe 4 to 5 carpenters in the building with screw guns. And that's really the extent and the majority of that offsite noise and complexity has been, that took place in a factory, not in Chappaqua. And on site, they're really just bringing those systems together to get the building weather tight and dried in as fast as possible.
What's the total duration you expect for there to be the crane on site?
Sure, so we would anticipate, again, weather dependent, but somewhere in the realm of 4 to 5 months is not an unreasonable time estimate. Again, there's no cutting of panels or beams or columns as they come to site. It's really a fairly rapid installation. And so a building of this size, it's quite reasonable to expect that you could do a floor a week given ideal conditions. And then it goes into, this is a question we can't answer sitting here today, how many other things are loaded into that prefabrication strategy. So at minimum, it would be the vertical structure, columns, beams, floor plates. We could add the exterior envelope and the roof onto that. We've even worked on projects where we prefabricated kitchens, bathrooms. So it depends on the contracting system, but this approach to construction allows the opportunity for us to explore a really high degree of prefabrication and have that all coordinated through basically one contractor and one delivery method. So as they're bringing in, for example, the beams and the columns for one floor, they may also be dropping in bathrooms. And that approach, we think for this particular site would be quite advantageous, I think for everyone involved.
Are there any stages of this construction that would be more noise intensive than others?
Sure.
I see here a reference to the ground improvement.
Sure, yeah, so ground improvements would be the most disturbing to the general population. Everything else past that, again, is screw guns and cranes, so quite on the noise, but
And would you be monitoring those and remaining within the
Yes.
statutory?
Yes, and that's part of the
As is
commitment
part
that
of
we wrote in there,
what-
yeah,
okay.
absolutely. And again, just as Andy said, that we analyzed the worst case scenario, there's other improvements we can do for the foundation that we may explore more at the time we fully design our foundation system, but that is the one that we are choosing right now because it is the most impactful from an environmental perspective. Andy, is there another slide or are we kinda done?
Yeah, that was.
Okay, so I think that's our presentation and, I guess more questions if you're.
Well, just a quick point that was mentioned by Mike Fine, that as part of CEQA, you did look at the worst case scenario, that's what you're charged to look with, so that's what your neg deck is a result of, looking at the worst case scenario, the worst case metrics in terms of looking at this project, so that was done, you guys looked at that as part of your neg deck.
Thanks, Sam.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions?
That ground improvement period with the vibration and the noise, that should last how long?
Yeah, that was in the second stage, which I think was around 2 months, right, if I wasn't mistaken? Yeah, around 2, it would be within that 2-month period, it's not 2 months in its entirety. It would be probably maybe half that time period.
Okay. Sabrina, anything that you might ask in addition that you can think of?
Not at this time, just to give the board and the public kind of a summary. Town staff have reviewed this application very closely. What was put into the packet, what you have before you is our recommendation on conditions if you were going to provide a resolution of approval or consider it. Some involve additional work, additional information that they need to provide, and there's different stages that they'll provide that information in. For example, some conditions will be required prior to the town supervisor signing the site plan. other conditions will be required prior to submitting a building permit. And even other conditions will be required prior to receipt of a certificate of occupancy. So as you move forward and you consider a special use permit and a site plan approval, you will look at the various stages of the activities that need to be satisfied, those criteria, and align them with the timeframes that it makes most sense. For example, getting permission from MTA, the Westchester County Health Department, they really need that before they start to construct. So it's all put in timing for you.
So at what point do we make these determinations on the recommendation? So for instance, we just talked about noise and vibration.
Yeah,
And the recommendation is that we require the site to be monitored for first, so that's just one example.
That's an example that would be turned
But
into
at what point in the
condition.
process do we make those determinations and request those measures from the applicant?
Those measures will be incorporated as conditions of your approval.
So when we put in the special permit,
You will have a resolution which will be your special
So we will
permit
make those
and site plan
recommendations.
approval.
Great. Yeah, so just in other words, you have a public hearing now, so you're gonna hear from the public this evening, but when you're ready, at some point you'll close the public hearing and then you'll direct staff to draft a resolution that will have those conditions.
So
And you
we'll
heard
have those,
from, right, you
okay.
heard from the applicant tonight that they received staff's memo and the 25 conditions, I know they, correct me if I'm wrong, like we basically agreed to these conditions.
So my next question was gonna be, when do we communicate that with the applicant, but you've already gone through it.
They've already seen it, it has to be formalized into a resolution, and there's other conditions like provision of bonds and insurance and things like that.
I got it, I just wanna know the timeline and how we communicate these various factors, so got it,
So
okay.
they've been communicated over a long period of time. At the end of the day, the resolution is
I don't want
our-
anything to come as a surprise to you.
Not at all,
or
we
to us,
know
yeah.
what's in there, it's been a long discussion for 2 years. I think the best way to say it is your resolution will be our guideline for what we can then achieve next.
Okay, good.
And if we don't achieve those things, then you can't issue a building permit, and if we don't give you that, you can't issue a CO, right? So you always got us over a barrel, if you will.
In other words, it's fail safes at every step of the way, from resolution to building permit to CO, so it'll be monitored, it'll be looked at, and Mike's been doing this a long time, so he knows what he has to do and comply with respect to resolution and what's required of the applicant.
Okay,
Thank you so
so
much.
before we open the public hearing, Rob, do you have any?
No.
You're good, okay. Alright, thank you so much for all that information. And so at this time, I would like to ask for a motion to open the public hearing on 50 North Greeley, and in particular the special use and site plan application.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So anyone with public comment on this application? Anyone in person? Please come up to the microphone. Okay, seeing no one. Is there anyone online for comment at this public hearing? No hands are raised. My goodness, okay. All right, so may I have a motion I will at this point continue,
So-
right?
Yeah, I would,
The public hearing,
you
I'm not adjourning it.
You're gonna continue it, and then if you want, given the fact that we haven't heard public comment, you can, if you wanna feel comfortable, you can address staff to start working on a resolution. Cause we have the makeup here in the memo.
Yeah.
And then, we'll have the public hearing continue to, I would suggest a date certain so that the applicant doesn't have to, we don't have to renotice again. So we could set a date now, and depending on the applicant, I know you wanted to chat maybe about a couple of these things and discuss, but if you're good, just give us a date certain, we can continue the public hearing then, but in the interim, you can have a motion, supervisor, to have staff start preparing a resolution.
Yeah, I think the timing is probably more about when you can have the resolution drafted, if that's what you choose to do. The changes for us are pretty simple.
So the options coming up would be April 28th
No,
and May 12th.
What, after?
after May 12th. I'd say the meeting after May 12th.
So the public hearing would continue.
It would
On May
continue to
26th,
that
I mean,
date, and then obviously if board
even if we
staff
don't
maybe
have a-
close it and adopt on that day, provided the resolution is ready.
Yeah, we wanna have a draft to you
that's ready for you to,
So you would have that draft ready for the May 26th
yes.
meeting. Do you recommend having another public hearing in the interim? I mean, we don't need to wait until then for a public hearing. Just to give, I mean, there's no one here now, I can't, I don't
You
anticipate
could have a written comment
that
period
there would
or
be,
You could do
that
that,
the
have
entire
written comment.
time is available for written comment.
You can do 10 days or even do up to the 26th for written comment.
We could do the 12th for public comment and then keep it open till the 26th.
Right, so we would skip next weekend, I think that makes sense. So I would like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing to May 12th.
May 12th, okay. So you need a motion?
May I have a second?
Second.
Eric. Okay, anything else we need
Just
for
all
this
in favor?
motion? Okay, I know, but
Yep. And then I would
Wanna
also
make
make a
sure-
motion to direct staff to prepare a memo,
So on the first-
resolution.
on the current motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. So we will continue the public hearing on May 12th. I don't know what we can anticipate, but will you be able to come back?
Yeah,
On that date,
absolutely, yeah,
okay.
we'll send in our revised comments based on the 2 comments that are in there. So you have those, and then we'll wait to hear from you all.
Okay, and may I have a motion to direct staff to start preparing a resolution?
Second.
And we'll do our best to get it.
We need a motion.
Yeah, so moved.
Okay,
Sorry.
and then a second.
Second.
Okay,
It's been a long night.
Yeah, we'll do our best to try and get it to you as soon as possible.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. It's nice to see everybody. Hello, Dawn. Good to see you.
Thank you for your patience.
Have a good evening. Yes, and thank you for waiting through our work session.
Roy Rockworth.
Okay. It had to be painful in some way.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Rob, you went through all the admin items and that consists of our consent agenda. Was there anything else that we left out?
No.
Okay.
But I don't think you went through the proposed actions, did you?
We don't usually do that because the proposed actions are
Speak for
in
themselves.
the resolution, so.
Okay.
Alright, so let's start with our consent agenda items. Eric, do you wanna start us off?
Absolutely.
And then Ali, you pick up after the
Let's see
consent
if
agenda.
I move to adopt the items 1 through 14 as listed on the consent agenda. Does anyone read through 1 through 14?
Second.
There we go, Ally.
All in favor?
Aye.
You were going to do this one after the consent agenda.
Oh, okay. Okay. You already do it now?
Yeah,
Okay, sure.
cause
Sure.
I can't ask
Sure.
for the motion.
Okay, got it.
I'm gonna do the,
Hang on, hang on.
I'd like to make a motion in favor of the town issuing a letter in support for Friends of Button Hook Forest bid for an open space conservation grant from New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for the Button Hook Forest Preservation Project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Holly, well, I am recusing myself because of my prior involvement with the Chappaqua Central School District on this property. I've been advised that because of any possible appearance of conflict, that it is in the best interests of everyone that I recuse myself, even though I have absolutely no personal interest whatsoever. And I wish everyone the best of luck in this endeavor.
I also recuse myself for all of the same reasons and also wish you the best of luck.
Okay, so now Lino, did we need to have a roll call for that, or is this okay?
You've already recused yourself, so it's fine.
Okay.
She's got the votes. With your recusals.
alright, I move to.
Okay, hang on, I was going to do another
My bad.
walk-on
Sorry.
motion. No, it's okay. I'd like to ask for a motion to set a public hearing for May 12th, 2026 on a local law to amend the provisions of chapter 9 of the Code of Ethics. May I have a motion?
So moved. Or second, sorry. Oh, second.
It's the hour.
Wait, who made the motion?
So moved.
You made the motion.
Holly moved
Okay,
and
second.
Holly
There we go.
second.
Sorry.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Eric, sorry, now we'll continue
No,
with
you're
the
all good. I move to
number.
retroactively approve the payment of claims in the amount of $1,900,903,080.48 listed on the summary AP check register and detailed report checks were printed and distributed to each claimant listed on Friday, April 3rd, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wanna continue? Let's see.
I can go.
Go ahead.
I move to accept the resignation from Keith Scarrett for the position of Sergeant of the Newcastle Police Department effective April 27th, 2026. The town would like to thank Keith for his 9 years of service.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to regretfully accept the retirement, and I mean this most sincerely, of Diana Caffarelli from the position of Senior Bookkeeper within the Comptroller's Office effective April 25th, 2026. The town would like to sincerely thank Diana for her 22 years of dedicated service to the town. Diana is a wonderful employee and we're gonna miss her greatly.
Yes, we are.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. And one last, most regretfully, I move to regretfully accept the retirement of Walter Quast from the position of lead maintenance mechanic within the Department of Public Works effective April 25th, 2026. The town would like to sincerely thank Walter for his 25 years of dedicated service. 35.
So 10 more on that.
Walter, you deserve every minute of a joyful retirement.
We'll miss you, Walter.
Yes, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Holly, wanna pick up the next?
I move to authorize the posting and hiring for the position of lead maintenance mechanic within the Department of Public Works Building Maintenance Unit at the annual salary ranging from $87,471.13 to $119,482.23.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to authorize the hiring of the following individuals as listed in the agenda for the position of recreation attendants within the Recreation and Parks Department at the corresponding rates as indicated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let me keep going?
Just do one more.
I move to authorize the posting and hiring for the position of senior office assistant at the annual salary ranging from $64,320.06 to $88,076.60.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I move to authorize the reappointment of the following individuals as members of the Holocaust and Human Rights Committee for a 2-year term effective January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2028. Ali Rosenberg, Stacy Science, Anjua Joshi, Sarah Stern, Solveig McShay, Rhonda Regan, Harriet Zeller.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to authorize the reappointment of Greg Elders as co-chair of the Airport Advisory Committee for a 2-year term effective February 14th, 2026 through December 31st, 2028.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Don't you wanna read the
Going to
Arbor,
11? Yeah.
the Arbor Day
I
resolution?
move to adopt the following resolution. Whereas Arbor Day was first observed in 1872 with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed through the nation and the world, and whereas 2026 is the 154th anniversary of National Arbor Day. Whereas trees are a renewable resource and help to reduce erosion, moderate temperature, lower heating and cooling costs, clean the air, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees in Newcastle increase property value, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted are a source of joy and renewal. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board in Newcastle proclaims Friday, April 24th, 2026 as 2026's Arbor Day in the town of Newcastle. Be it further resolved that the town board urges all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day, to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, and to plant and care for trees in furtherance of the happiness and well-being of this and future generations.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's a nice way to end.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I move
Victoria
to
missed
adjourn.
Okay, may I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.